Hi, thanks for joining us. We are MidtownMemphis.org, an all-volunteer organization. And my name is Robert Gordon. I'm on the board. And this video is about the compromise for Memphis 3.0, and it assumes you have a background in Memphis 3.0. If you do not, please go to one of the other videos on our compromise. Want to remind you that on our website at midtownmemphis.org, under initiatives, we have a page called Memphis 3.0. You can get further answers there. Want to remind you that we do support density and development. A couple projects in the works now we support are the one at Central and Cooper and the one on the grounds of the old police station. Both use neglected areas to develop, both worked with neighbors to create situations so neighbors wouldn't lose their privacy. We know they're not perfect, but these are the kind of developments we support, as well as we've suggested to the Division of Planning and Development that they change the zoning rules for commercial mixed use areas to allow all residential so that we can get more people living on major streets near commerce and along mass transit and not penalize the developers by forcing them to have commerce on the ground floor when commerce is not coming back to our streets and it's going online. The essence of our compromise involves the three maps that intersect here on the land use categories page: the future land use planning map, the degree of change map, and the street typologies map represented. Here's these bold are the degree of change, and where it says avenues, boulevards, and parkways, that's where we see the street typologies map. This is the future land use planning map with its land use decisions for the city. And going to zoom into Midtown and just give you the example of how it works. DPD has selected anchor areas, brought them to uh, planning district meetings, and neighbors at the planning district meetings have modified or confirmed those anchors, and those anchors result in, so here's an anchor, Overton Square, the purple and blue are anchors, and we see the density radiates around those anchors according to what DPD determines about these anchors. Overton Square gets orange, which is multifamily. Cooper gets duplex, which is yellow, and you can see that much of Midtown is in 3.0, much of Midtown gets encouraged density. We've applied circles to make it easier to see that here. And our objection is that no one has looked at the land before making these land use decisions. And our compromise position is to say, let's look at the land and then make this decision. That would allow us to keep the anchors, to keep the land use circles, and then use the small area plans to make those decisions. So that's the way we uh, uh, change the future land use planning map. Degree of change map, it does two things. The first one it does is it affects land uses without looking at what's there. For example, the future land, we're using a map from Red Acres here. Here's Poplar Plaza. Here's the Galloway Golf Course. This stretch is yellow on the future land use planning map. It indicates duplex, but because of the underlying degree of change map, it actually gets duplex, triplex, and quadplex. So we're going to remove that aspect of the degree of change, but we're going to keep the aspect that determines government spending, which says areas that the government has neglected, which are this color, get priority. These get a mix of public and private spending, and these focus primarily on private. We support that decision. This is the street typologies map. Anywhere that any of these colored streets are in a land use circle get extra density options. And since no one is looking at that before making such a decision, we are removing the street typologies map entirely. So where they intersect here, the future land use planning map with duplex and multifamily, the degree of change map where it affects housing, where it affects land uses, and the uh, street typologies map within these categories, we lose all of that. What that does is it turns this map, which keeps the anchors and keeps the land use circles, and says, aha, with the work to date, we have targeted areas. And so we stick with Memphis 3.0. We use Memphis 3.0 small area plans to look in those targeted areas, and then we can make land use decisions based on what's on the land. So we have we respect all the work done to date. We stop the land use changes that are made without looking at the map, and we look at the map. That will keep people from racing outside of Memphis 3.0's reach if they want a stable neighborhood, because once multifamily begins to creep into single family home areas, then neighborhoods will change, the instability will become apparent, and buyers will go elsewhere. We object to the fact that Memphis 3.0 foists the density on the most dense areas already, Midtown, North Memphis, and South Memphis, and it gives a pass to the least dense areas like East Memphis, where there are the most opportunities for density, but no density is applied. That seems inequitable. And this will also allow us to clarify land use decisions so that developers aren't reading it one way, neighborhoods are reading it another way, and we're having these ongoing clashes at the Board of Adjustment and the Land Use Control Board. Doing this properly, using the Memphis 3.0 small area plans, will make all of this run smoother. So our compromise supports the essence of Memphis 3.0, build up, not out. It keeps the work done to date. The anchors are defined, the anchor neighborhoods are defined. Instead of rushing into there and making land use changes before looking, we look. And that's our compromise. We look at the areas we're going to change before we change them, and the small area plans work with the neighbors to create something good for their neighborhoods. You can find out more about what we think about Memphis 3.0 and our other initiatives around Midtown and Memphis at midtownmemphis.org. We thank you for your attention, and we'd love to hear your feedback through our website.